Does that look crooked to you?
It always looks crooked because it does.
Is it like
because of where the buttons on the phone are? You don't want them getting smashed by the.
There we go.
By the yeah. By
Looks a
the
little bit
clamps.
less crooked. That's right. Welcome to the 5. Today is July 6th, 2021, and we are back actually happening again. Both these guys were gone for about 3 weeks, one of them being a vacation week, and I tried it by myself and it just wasn't as good. So here we are back again in full force for the 5 with TFT Supplies. The 5 topics for today talking about, we have 36,000 more impacted by ransomware. What's next for Jeff Bezos? Should billionaires exist? College athletes getting paid for different things, including video games, and is Hugh Jackman coming back for Wolverine yet again? The first of these, ransomware. According to Morning Brew, Miami-based tech service got hit at least 200 companies and forced 36,000 more to go offline for precautionary measures. I guess that's Revil, maybe evil, right? Yeah. Revil. Same company that was behind the meatpacking attack. More ransomware. Again, thoughts?
Again. Wow, it's like, when is that going to come to an end? You know, eventually they gotta that's a problem right there. You got, the group of people really holding people for ransom and actually getting results out of it that benefit them. Like, that's an issue. Like, you would think by now that we have a smart enough system to, counter that, and apparently we don't, but hopefully.
You're the younger generation, Josh. On the Twitters and stuff like that, does that come up on there sometimes? People getting hacked, ransomware, money, all this stuff?
I see people getting hacked and stuff, but most of my generation, it's just attention. They don't really want or try to gain anything out of it.
Just attention?
Yeah, pretty much.
They don't want the money?
No, I'll see them they'll have famous people Twitters and stuff, and then they'll just
oh yeah, that kind of happened.
They'll just be follow this page, and it's their personal.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see the point in it, but.
Well, there's I think a lot of money to be had,
For that.
And I think when you look at these, you have skilled people on both sides of the fence, and it kind of reminds me almost a little bit of this is a little before your time, but like Napster, right?
Yeah.
You have all these companies with these base level software developers trying to secure things, while you have 100 kids in their parents' basement trying to hack around it at any given time.
Right.
So it's a lot of that cat and mouse, a nonstop evolution, but I think there's a lot more dollars at stake and infrastructure at stake.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a matter of time until some of these smaller companies, because the oil pipeline, right, that was significant.
Yes.
The meat thing didn't really ever seem to actually come to much beyond they had to pay, which was sucks for them. It didn't seem to impact much of the rest of us. But what if big institutions or banks,
yeah.
mortgage stuff,
power plants.
Yeah, power plants. By the way, you're not gonna have any power until you pay.
Yeah, I think that's a really big problem, and it's a threat to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that can really impact a lot of people for a long time, especially because it's working for them. They're going to keep doing it.
Yeah,
and then not only that though, now other people are seeing there's going to be copycats.
There's money to be had.
So as soon as we catch these guys, there's going to be another group that does the exact same thing. It's just going to be an ever-going thing, and it just impacts everyone's everyday life, and it's a real problem. I don't know what they're going to do about it, because.
Well, and as people like us, I feel it's a great example, the power plant, some kind of ransomware. I feel pretty entirely helpless, because what is it any one of us are going to do to secure a power plant's infrastructure to be able to make sure zero, right? Or with a big ISP around here Charter, Spectrum, but by the way, there's no internet until somebody pays $1 billion.
Yeah, and it really just exposes how weak, because we always think these stuff it's almost impossible to hack, no one can do it, it's so encrypted, we feel so safe and protected, but this is actually exposing it and showing us that that's not the case.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Ransomware, that's gonna, what was it? Isn't there a Die Hard movie where there's some sort of software attack?
Yeah, there's a whole Live Free or Die Hard is basically this is the plot of that movie, where they completely take over the entire United States infrastructure, stoplights, gas, power plants, everything. and they shut it down.
You know, when you look at the Die Hard franchise, it seems like somehow like a regular cop became a superhero.
Yes.
Like over the course of the franchise. And I guess that happens with lots of movie franchises. Like Fast and Furious, right? Just escalate.
Well, in the first one, he's actually just a regular guy.
Yeah.
He's just a regular guy who happens to be a cop or whatever, but he's smart. But by the time you get to the fourth one, he becomes
He like saves the country in the world.
superhuman,
Yeah.
kind of like Vin Diesel in the Fast and the Furious.
Like
movies.
bouncing off of cars and
Yeah.
fine.
Or
Not
I mean,
in a
in
car
Die Hard
laying
4,
there.
he literally he falls off of a moving jet onto a bridge and slides down while the whole thing explodes and survives.
Man, these guys are tough.
Yeah.
All right, so also news for today, number 2, from the Morning Brew. Let's see, Jeff Bezos is no longer the CEO of Amazon. There's a new guy coming in, and really, for most of us, that doesn't really change a whole lot of stuff. But it's interesting of what might be next, because you look at people with a mountain of money, like a literal, like Scrooge McDuck mountain of money, like vault of coins. You think, what does somebody do when they have these kind of resources at their disposal?
Yeah.
So like a good parallel drawn, like Mark Cuban sold his audio streaming company to Yahoo for like $5.5 billion in '99. Talk about good timing too, because what he sold to them, they didn't really do very well. And not to mention, $1 billion is a lot now. It was even more 20 years ago.
Yeah.
When he bought the Dallas Mavericks, there's a huge thing with sports teams. Their values are skyrocketing. But he's expressed interest in owning an NFL franchise.
Yeah.
You guys are more the sports followers.
Yeah.
What's the current thing like with people buying and selling teams?
I mean, I can see that. I mean, in the NFL, that doesn't really happen so much with new ownership. Usually, a lot of the owners keep the same team for what seems like forever. There are a few teams that always tend to, it seems like you hear about the Redskins with Dan Snyder wanting to step down or whether he should, sell the team or not because of the naming and everything. But they fixed the name, and then you got the Jaguars and stuff. But I don't know. Isn't Jeff Bezos is from Seattle, right? Or is he a Washington?
I don't know where he's from. I don't
Is
know
he a
where he's
Washington
from.
guy?
I know that's Amazon's base in
I don't
Seattle.
know why. For whatever reason, with Jeff Bezos, I can envision another state of Washington NFL team coming.
Another one?
Yeah, well, that's if the NFL agrees to do an expansion.
Is there any kind of, I think don't some leagues have where people have to approve some ownership change or something like that, like a super closed door club?
Yes, yeah, it's a club of, it's a club of 32 people. So yeah, it's super exclusive.
Do you guys know how the rules work? Like on some random person wants to buy a team, but like a total jerk, and they think we don't want this person in the club. Is it like a majority?
Well, I do hear a lot of the from what I hear from other sports shows and other people talking about the NFL, and the way it works is, well, they've always been kind of against of expanding because they get the majority of their money from the TV deals, or whatever, and then it doesn't matter how one team performs in their market or whatever. They all split the pot 32 ways,
32
no matter
ways.
what.
So it dilutes your pot. What about like soccer owners and stuff on that? Is that a thing?
Like the European stuff's very different. It's a lot of it's like you see like the oil princes will come in like, I just want to buy a team, and they'll just they just throw an offer to the owner, and the owners can sell it if they want to.
Yeah.
So it's not like any kind of approval thing, like if
There might be that I've never heard of, but
like the billionaire Saudi prince, like I think I want to buy a soccer team.
They'll
today.
just go out there and just throw an offer.
Yeah.
And those values have just skyrocketed. I think billionaires like it. Also interesting, and if you ever want to Google like the stuff that Jeff Bezos actually owns and controls, is fascinating. But like one of them, the Washington Post, right, newspaper website, etc. Also, I don't even know what this is, but building a 10,000-year clock in remote West Texas. Something about like a super effective clock. I don't know exactly what that is, but it sounds like a pretty neat thing.
Yeah.
Number 3, so as we're working our way down, billionaires. So let's see, as he's super rich, right, pledged to give $10 billion to different things, and there's his ex-wife, Mackenzie Scott, who's given away like a bunch of billions of dollars. And whenever this stuff comes up with all these people and the ultra wealthy, because you have so few people with these obscene amounts of wealth, and then you wonder, people always say like, should billionaires even exist? It's like, does anybody need $1 billion? It's hard to argue you need it. It'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But do you think billionaires should even exist?
I'm all for it if you're doing it like in a humane way. Who am I to tell you how much money you should have?
Yeah. I really think it's an outside looking in kind of thing, because if I was a billionaire, I'm like, yeah, billionaires should definitely exist because I'm a billionaire. But if I'm not a billionaire, and I get it, I can see both sides, and it's like, what should be expected of billionaires? Should they be expected to donate so much of their money every year, you know?
Yeah.
And should they be expected to come down and be like the rest of society? I just don't think we don't operate that way. Society's never operated that way. We don't try to be fair. You know, we don't try to be like, oh, just because this one person has so many of this, they should be expected to donate all this. It doesn't work that way.
Well, yeah, that's like I'm okay with billionaires, and you wonder like what is, I don't know, expected, and there's all these different aspects of how many problems you could truly impact with that amount of money. And a lot of times it's held in stock, so it's not as clear and simple as just like writing a check.
Yeah.
But I don't know the math on like what is it? There's one of those like food things that say like if you when sourced right, it can cost like 25 cents in bulk, like to feed a child for a day. Like all those like let's give money to feed starving children. You think, well, if you could give away $1 billion a year, that could be 4 billion meals. And like, what is the math of that? And could you, in and of yourself, like end childhood hunger in any number of states?
Yeah.
Like and then think, well, I think I might get a yacht instead. And you don't really want to force people to do that, because that's, but like the amount of, I have a hard time grasping, not so much the amount of dollars, but the amount of power and influence something like that has. Like if you don't like what the local TV station is saying about you, you might buy the TV station. What is it? Is it one at the end of the movies with Batman, Superman, or something like that, where like Clark's mom's the farm was getting foreclosed on, and like Bruce Wayne, it was Ben Affleck, like took care of it, and he's like, well, what'd you do? It's like, I bought the bank. To get it forgiven. Of course, you probably just could have written the check instead to get it cleared out, but just weird things like that. You forget what's actually at your disposal. That's for me the hardest part. So with number 4, so in the last couple of weeks, I forget exactly when, but the Supreme Court ruled that college athletes could get paid, what is the NIL, for the name, image, and likeness. Which I think is really, really good in and of itself. But there was a headline that came out with ESPN because like video games have these players. So in these games all the time, so EA Sports college football had an 8-year hiatus. But they had because they had in 2013, they had a legal issue regarding player likenesses, and they'll probably bring it back because now that they can do that. But college players can now, and a lot of you've probably seen some of this, Josh. A lot of them are already getting various deals from lots of different areas. What's been some of the words with some of that stuff?
They were 12:01 a.m. They were already athletes like announcing like sponsorships and stuff that they had, which I'm all for it, because like a lot of these big schools, I don't know the exact number, but like Alabama's football team was making them hundreds of millions of dollars, or I don't know the exact total, but like these kids, I mean, the argument is, they're getting free tuition and like housing and food and stuff, but like I don't think any of that stuff adds up to the amount of money
No, I sure don't.
that they were making.
Like the value proposition of what you're giving someone in exchange for what they're giving you.
Yes.
Yeah, seems pretty slanted. And it was on Barstool Sports. I saw something. It was some coach. I forget the guy's name, but it said like on the record, like if these guys get paid, I'm gonna quit. And I'm like, well, this is happening. Have you quit yet? And like, well, he makes like $2 million a year. He's probably not gonna quit. But what do you think about athletes getting paid?
I like it. I really like it a lot. I think it's long overdue. I think when you have the NCAA making billions of dollars from ESPN and all these other TV networks, and they're paying the coaches like millions of dollars, the coaches, you know, like I think it's only fair, because you got to remember, a lot of these players will not end up in the NFL. they will not be well off for the rest of their lives after they leave college football.
They'll get a degree,
but
that's far from being top tier in other areas of their life.
But what they're going through, putting their bodies on the line, getting hit and stuff like that, could be result in career-ending injuries. Meanwhile, you got other companies benefiting off of them and using their names to sell merchandise like video games and stuff like that. I think it's only right.
How will that impact because there's in any given sports league, right, you have some dominant teams that are oftentimes dominant, and you have the lower level ones which have a harder time competing with bigger budgets and things like that.
Yeah.
How will something like this impact something like that?
It might impact. I mean, it might make the level of playing field might get lopsided even more, but it already is. NCAA has been dominated by almost the same universities or same teams for a long time. Like Alabama's been on the top for who knows, and you got like Ohio State has always been kind of a powerhouse. You always, it's always been like that anyways. So because you just got universities that just have more money than others.
Well, so it seems like if that's the case, wouldn't it further entrench these bigger schools because they would at least have at their disposal something in their budget, the ability to pay some of these things?
Yeah, I mean that is a good question. I mean that is a good debate. For just playing, is it going to be even competitive anymore?
Yeah,
that is a good question. But with that being said, I still think that if a player is making you money, that they should at least get some portion of it. Because you got to think back to like Reggie Bush or all these old players that got penalized for accepting money. Well, in the NCAA, like they used to get punished. They were not allowed to accept money at all.
I think they have been getting punished. Even like social media, which is a newer thing by NCAA standards.
Or like Johnny Manziel. Like Johnny Manziel was not allowed to make any. And he was a big name in college football. So I just think it's not right. If you're not going to pay them, you shouldn't be punishing them. They gotta get money somehow. Everyone should have a right to make a living.
Yeah. To be just your face and name used all over the place, and all you can do is.
Well, if they can make they shouldn't be able to make money off of you and then get upset when you want a portion.
You want a piece of it. I wonder, did they have any prior to this? Did they have any ability to not have their name and likeness used, or was that like what you sign up for? You play like NCAA, like March Madness type basketball, like. If you want to be in that system, they're going to use your face all over the place. Is that or could you say like, no, you're not going to use my face on stuff?
See that I don't know. I don't know what is said and what is agreed upon when you enter, go into college football. But I just, from what you just heard, it was just a common thing for so long that, and when you're a player in the NCAA, you're really not allowed to make any money elsewhere. And I guess they're worried about boosters. Colleges going to recruiting players.
It's like watching The Blind Side.
Yeah, because they have more. Just because they have more money, so they're more likely to go play for Alabama or something like that. Is basically the plot of The Blind Side. So it is kind of complicated. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's right for any business to be making money off of somebody and then turning around and saying like, no, you shouldn't be making money.
Yeah, kind of sounds like slavery. It kind of, and that was one of the arguments, and I'm sure they're not treated as poorly as slaves were. But nonetheless, if you expect things and give very little in return. All right, Josh, you have any of the X-Men movies?
I don't really know much about them, to be honest.
Well, so Hugh Jackman, known mostly for many things, but especially Wolverine, Screen Rant is saying what he's been hinting at maybe coming back to the X-Men stuff, because I think, it might be a spoiler, but I think he died on one of the Wolverine movies. How he died, I'm not really sure, because he seems to heal himself.
Yeah.
But he's been there for like 20 years, and let's see, we noted, far from a confirmation, but he's been talking a little bit about it.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Well, see, the next Spider-Man movie, they're doing this whole thing where they're going to start exploring with the multiverse. You hear rumors about Tobey Maguire coming back as Spider-Man, like different, because they're going to be entering like different, and the DC's doing the exact same thing. So I can see where Hugh Jackman is not really coming back permanently to play Wolverine. He's coming back for like just a short role where he's going to replay Wolverine for a little bit. I can definitely see in that working because like if he died or something like that, I don't really see. And like the Logan movie, which was the last Wolverine movie he played in, does not really fit well with the MCU. Like an R-rated, very bloody and gory movie. So I don't really seeing that translating into the current MCU as we have now.
Have you guys seen, like, if you look at how he looked in, say, the first X-Men movie, talking like, what, 98, 99, something like that, versus like Wolverine or something like that? I mean, he was fit then, but he's like a slab of concrete muscle in some of the latest movies.
Yeah.
And I would never end up that muscular no matter how hard I try, I think. But like, as you get older, it gets harder to do that stuff. Like, it's one thing to put on like 20 pounds of muscle when you're 30. It's harder, I think, to put on that much muscle when you're 50. And like, how long can that be sustainable? Like a lot of these actors that have been doing it, like in these 10 and 20 year arcs of superheroes, like it's not that easy to put, like, you have to put your body through a lot to end up like that. Josh, you ever had a lot of muscle on you?
At one point, yeah.
Yeah? I never have. I gone through phases and I never gained any muscle, so I just quit. But someday I will. Maybe when I turn 50, I'll go like Hugh Jackman style and just put on a bunch of. There's so much eating. It's like, and it's all certain kinds of food, and it's just such a routine. Have you guys ever seen the diets of like The Rock, for example?
Yeah.
Yes, that's crazy. He eats so much.
You have to eat so much, and I saw this one video once. I think it was before like a Hercules movie or something like that, where leaked his diet, and people were trying to follow the diet like all day. You ever see that?
Yeah, I've seen like people like try to imitate it.
And they're throwing up by like 10 a.m. because there's just so much food. It's like, eat another pound of fish, just over and over and over again.
Right.
And I'm always kind of surprised. Like, it takes time to eat. And somehow he never seems to sleep.
Yeah.
Because I always feel like that's an important part of gaining muscle, like letting your body rest.
But yeah,
Probably the steroids.
The Rock has been building muscle since he was a kid. You know, he's been working really hard. Like he's conditioned himself into that diet. That wasn't an overnight.
It takes time.
Then people need to realize that was not an overnight thing. That's just been his lifestyle almost his entire life. So like, you know, for someone to just be like, oh, today I'm going to eat like The Rock. That's not it's not going to work out for you because you haven't been doing it your whole life like he has. But like, you don't have to look like The Rock right away. You just do simple steps, the short things to start eating, start getting there, you know, and then you'll be just fine.
You'll be just fine. All right, so that wraps it up. So recapping the 5, or today's the 5. Another ransomware attack. Jeff Bezos, no longer CEO. What's next? Should billionaires exist? College athletes getting paid for things like video games and otherwise. And will Hugh Jackman be back for Wolverine? Time will tell. So as Tyler Douthit here, on my left, Josh, on my right, Ben. Both were out for 3 weeks, which included, Ben, baby stuff, then a vacation. Josh, appendicitis, right?
Yep.
What was that like?
Awful.
Hated it. And then a week vacation. I tried a solo and it kind of sucked. So at least we have back in the grind here. So TFD supplies, look under all the stuff for TFD talks as well, under the podcast stuff. Thank you for watching and for listening. Have a great day.
Right.